It's Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From The Guardian, the mission to find alien life on Jupiter's icy moons. On Thursday, a probe called the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, or JUICE, which is optimized to explore Jupiter's icy moons for signs of life, is scheduled to be launched by the European Space Agency from the ESA's spaceport in French Guiana. This probe will make detailed observations of Jupiter while exploring the moons Callisto, Europa, and Ganymede, all of which are covered in ice and are thought to host subsurface oceans, for signs of extraterrestrial life. This probe is unusual in that most such efforts in recent decades have been aimed at Mars or Venus, both of which are relatively close to Earth, while Jupiter is incredibly far away. It will take 8 years just for the probe to arrive. And because these moons are not currently targets for governmental space agencies' long-term exploration and colonization efforts, projects focusing on them don't benefit from regular operational budgets. From the Associated Press, competing abortion pill rulings sow broad alarm and confusion. Late last week, a district judge in Texas ordered a hold on the previously granted federal approval for a drug often used for pharmaceutical abortions, mifepristone, overruling decades of science-based approval with an ideology-based argument, and at almost the same time, a district judge in Washington ruled that U.S. authorities cannot make changes that would restrict access to this drug in at least 17 states where there are active lawsuits to protect its availability. This story is likely to only get bigger and more complex in the coming weeks, but in essence, a Trump-appointed judge seems to be trying to remove the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's approval, which was given more than 20 years ago for a drug that, among other things, is often used as part of a 2-drug combo for pill-based abortions, which are the most common type in the United States. At the same time, an Obama-appointed judge in Washington is saying the U.S. government can't do anything that would restrict the availability of this drug in states where there are lawsuits related to that availability. And these two cases make it almost certain that the Supreme Court will take up the case, which could give a victory to those hoping to ban abortions throughout the United States because of the Supreme Court's current ideological makeup. But in the meantime, the legality of all this will be uncertain, and that could lead to preemptive restrictions in some areas by business and government entities hoping to avoid being caught in the crossfire, which in turn could limit choice-related rights currently enjoyed by women across the country. And from BBC News, Samsung to cut chip production after profits plunge 96%. Samsung Electronics, which saw its operating profits collapse by an estimated 96% between January and March of this year, has announced that it will cut its production of memory chips. This is notable in part because the world recently went through a severe microchip shortage, and Samsung recently announced plans to invest huge sums of money over the next 2 decades to develop a massive semiconductor hub in South Korea. But a seeming bullwhip effect caused by folks buying a lot of new electronic devices during the pandemic and sales then diminishing as a consequence of consumers all having new devices already, right as the economy has gotten more complicated and people have started spending less, seems to have caused a rethink within one of the world's biggest producers of microchips and the products like TVs, phones, and tablets in which they are used. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.